And also, last month we had a little bit of a snafu with the recording. We will point no fingers.
Minari.
We will mention no names.
Fixed. Fixed. It's good.
Only to say that it is fixed now, and so I anticipate that this month's meeting will be posted to YouTube, hopefully sometime late tomorrow, so that everybody has an opportunity to go and review that. Like I said, we're just going to give it about 2 more minutes now before we get in with the rest of the meeting. Mumbo, you got your joke? You got your joke ready?
It can be.
I'm going to cold call everybody. All right, go.
ChatGPT says,
See?
Why did the scholar break up with the graph paper? Because you found him too plotting and not enough depth.
My answer
I get it.
I would have said it crossed too many lines.
Does cross too many lines. Yeah, that joke slaps.
I'm seeing some booze in chat.
I was gonna say the joke was not well taken from the Scholar Society.
Okay, let me. I will
guys,
make my joke writer aware that joke was bad.
Have you guys heard about that new vendor, like in New York, that's selling, like, he's on the side of the street and he's selling all the tennis shoes? Like, they're supposed to be like really good name brands, but he's selling them for like $10-15 a pop. You guys hear about that guy? Well, I was in, I needed a new pair of shoes, so I went and found that guy, and I went ahead and bought a pair of shoes from him. Now, I don't know what he laced them with, but I've been tripping all day.
Damn.
I'll save my joke for next time. I got a longer one. Requires a bit of setup.
All right. Yeah, well, I hope there's an accent. I will say, Gilly had a really good start off to our string of guild meetings in February with that Irish accent. He forgot the joke halfway through, but the accent carried the day. We'll get going here now at 7:50. If people are on in game and want to just ping out to the world of Ass in Aspiring Adorable, Angry, and Adept that this is going on, just in case anybody missed the pings in Discord. But for those who are here, we will waste no more time with getting going. So this is the June guild meeting. We don't have quite as much going on this month, so I expect this to be a little bit shorter than our prior meetings have gone. Obviously, that's somewhat dependent on you. For those who aren't aware, we will do a full Q&A session at the end. You can request to speak. I will bring you up onto stage. Those who don't wish to speak are more than welcome to type out your questions. But please save all of that until the very end. One of the slides that'll go up on the PowerPoint here is a request for questions. You'll see when we hit that point. And so we can kind of get into the agenda a little bit. For those who haven't been to one of our meetings to date, we kind of split things up into 2 parts. The first is the general guild information applicable to everybody, and the second half is raid specific information. And so obviously that we're going to talk about kind of raiding basics. We have had a big influx of new raiders, hopefully many who are here tonight. And then the second half is going to be about the AQ40 launch, which we just got a couple days ago, the information from Blizzard on that. So we're going to have 2 parts, like I said, basic information. We'll kind of run through that, some leadership updates and so on, and then we'll get into the raid stuff. And then the Q&A will follow. Both of those sections will have a Q&A, so if you do have questions, just as I said, please be sure to just hold on to them for the end, and we can go through for that. So this month, the Preceptor Corps has changed very slightly. CastJet took up the Preceptor of Guild Operations position officially, so he had been doing a lot of our work on our raid applications and and on our requisitions form, but he is now officially the head of the guild operations department. Mambo again received his promotion to player development preceding the May meeting, so we kind of introed him there. And Minari been the one in his seat the longest as preceptor of strategic planning since the guild started. So Preceptor Corps is pretty much settled in. I anticipate this will be the names you're looking for a fair amount of time into the future. So this should be about settled now with these 3 departments. The updated flowchart will be posted into the Discord page. You should be able to find this new edition on the server guide in a couple different places, including but not limited to the links, apps, and resources, as well as the rating information. A couple of things of note on this new edition. Brennica obviously pointed out there is now the colored dotted lines. The colors correspond to your team colors, and they correspond to your raid leaders and your assistant raid leaders. So rather than kind of having everything blocked out and indistinguished, you'll now be able to see the raid team, the assistant raid leads for the team more clearly, and then what constitutes that raid leadership unit. So obviously you can go from left to right. You can see Hercule and Greta are assistant raid leaders for 6 Rex on raid team 4, Arenu and Carlton with Minari on raid team 5, Stones and Dinsdale are with me on raid team 1, Raph and Rick are with Mumbo on raid team 2, and then McGruff and Doridim are assistant raid leaders on raid team 3. Which leads me to the next announcement, which is congratulations to McGruff and Doridim, who were both simultaneously and recently promoted to professors, taking on the assistant raid lead position in raid team 3. Under a new leadership, Bolthar has taken over on his Hunter Taladier, the raid leadership spot. So he is now raid leader of raid team 3, and McGruff and Doridim are the new assistant raid leader. So a lot of changes in raid team 3, but really bright future ahead for them. Had an influx of new members, still full clearing BWL and going strong. So congrats to the 3 of them. Thank you to the 3 of them. And wishing them the best as we go along here. Not a whole lot of other leadership. Oh, actually, there is one other I don't think I mentioned. Guild operations received a little bit of a facelift. We kind of reworked some things, and including adding Beardong to the administrative clerk position, where he's been working with CashJet on some of the raid applications and requisitions. And so you may have already interacted with him if you've put in a raid application in the last couple of weeks. And so we want to welcome Beardong to the professorship. And going down a level to our lecturers for our class leads, we have 2 new additions to our class leads. Dinsdale is still going to be an assistant raid leader for raid team 1, but he has had some stuff coming up for work, so he's looking to step out of the hunter lead role. And so Squibs has been generous with his time and knowledge, and offered to step into the class lead position effective immediately. I think he's already he's already been active in the Hunter channel, and I know that he's looking forward to connecting with hunters who may have questions about their class. And then the other new lecturer that we have as our class lead is for our rogue contingent, and so that is Ide Sapdat, who is stepping into the rogue class lead position. So again, welcome to both of you. I know Sap's had several meetings with our rogues already. I do want to highlight, I know I mentioned this last month, I'm just going to mention this again, especially now that AQ has been released and we're expecting some harder content ahead. This guild is not a hardcore guild. I think we've kind of adopted the moniker of mid-core, whatever that means. And one of the things that comes along with that is that the way we utilize parses is purely in a constructive manner, in which we look at it to, it's a source where we can, number one, congratulate others on their great performance across teams, within teams. Number two, measure our own improvement throughout a phase. And number three, kind of take stock of if we're getting all we can get out of our characters. We do not have particularly high minimum requirements for any of that, okay? And so I think it's really important to know that this isn't me telling you that, hey, you're parsing, 30s and, you're going to get kicked off the team. To date, we have never dropped a single person for a performance-related issue. One of the things that I'm really committed to in this guild, one of the things that all of our leadership is incredibly committed to, is that if you are willing to take the time to make the commitment to raid for 6 hours a week, to be there with your team, to be there for your team, we're going to meet you with the same commitment in kind to provide the class leadership, to provide the structure, to provide the things that you need to be successful. So what I'm saying in this section here is not that you've done anything wrong if you're parsing low, but simply to take stock of where you're at, review your logs, and if you notice that you're riding the grays, if you're in the lower greens, if you're not sure what you can be doing to increase or to improve, there is an open invitation for you to look at this list, to identify who your class leader is, and to reach out for them to them for help. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you taking the step on your own to reach out to them. What often will happen is that if people haven't made improvements, if we note you for performance, again, it's not punitive, but we may refer you for a mandatory coaching session so that you can kind of get a little bit more of a grasp on the basics. But that is absolutely one of the final steps. So please, it is always more useful, it is always more helpful for you to take on a role in your own development as a player and to reach out to these resources which we've provided for you. So please, again, take advantage. These people are here ready to help with a 100% open door policy. All you have to do is send them a message in Discord and they're all willing and able to help. In terms of what people can help you with in leadership outside of the class coaching, here is a kind of, I had this in the last guild meeting slide, I'm going to just highlight it again. Obviously, I have an open door policy. People think I don't mean that. I'm not sure why. As I've said in the past, very often, what I can promise you is either a very clear answer or a name of somebody to talk to in order to get that answer. So sometimes I might refer you, but it's only insofar as I'm trying to get as many people as I can to the right people that they need for that information. But you're always welcome if you're stuck, if you're lost, if you're not sure where to go on something. You're more than welcome to do your best to find it, but in the end, don't spin your wheels and waste unnecessary time. You can always come knock on my door. Preceptors, same thing. We have 3. Again, we kind of went over that earlier. Minari, McMumbo, and Casjet, who are there and happy to help. So feel free. And then our Professor Corps is obviously a very large contingent comparatively, can help with kind of HR, community standard issues, and then department related inquiries. So you'll notice we're split into 3 departments. We obviously have strategic planning, which is anything involving That's My BIS, 60 upgrades for gear, and rating generally. Player development is class coaching and event organizing. For guild events, so that would be Actinone, Cherry, and McMumbo's the preceptor, and the guild operations are requisitions and applications, and for that you'd have Casjet, Delsuvius, and Berdong. So those are the people that you can talk to, those are the things that you can talk to them about, and if you're ever wondering, all you really need to do is ping and someone will point you in the right direction. Our Discord's very heavily monitored by a very large and dedicated contingent of leaders with whom I would not be able to keep all of this afloat, or excuse me, without whom I would not be able to keep all of this afloat. So please say very little more than asking a question in Adept chat or anywhere in Discord, and you'll be pointed in the right direction without a doubt. Now we get to go to the fun part of the night, which is the Biggest Ass Award. So we are going to bestow our 5th Biggest Ass Guild Award to this month. And this month's awardee is Hits from Raid Team 3. Hits has recently taken over as a tank on Raid Team 3. And so we had him fill out, as many of the months passed, some of the information, a couple of little blurbs to read. So want a big grats to Hits on this award. He's received several nominations this month for his help within his raid team, within his guild. Incredibly active, very easy to talk to, responsive. One member mentioned how he had saved a group run by filling in for a tank that had quit partway through, and he jumped in to save the day for them, and just several other examples of really positive contributions to the community. So wanted to congratulate him and thank him for everything he's done. So when we asked him what it meant to him to be a member of the Adept Scholar Society, he said, "I truly mean it when I say I'm playing ass in the World of Warcraft. I take great joy in supporting those around me in both worlds. Our Ask community from the leadership down echoes my core values. Interacting with you all brings back nostalgia from 20 years ago. Laughter, banter, and camaraderie feeds the dopamine. Simply put, being a member means happy. I'm happy to log in and just chat. I'm happy to guide and help those in game. I'm happy to share my time with you all, and I look forward to riding this crazy ass bus all the way through TBC." Which I thought was very nice. And I enjoyed particularly his favorite memory was probably one of my favorite memories so far from the guild. When asked what his favorite memory in the guild was, he said, "The gnome race has forever scarred my memory. Running through the Badlands on any tune triggers my PTSD of that short-statured death waddle." And I think that was a highlight for all of them. In particular, because I remember plotting out that course and realizing when there were stealth panthers in the Badlands that were going to pop out and destroy, I think, 60 or 70 naked level 1 gnomes, that it was going to be a highlight of the event. So I'm glad to see it stuck around. 4 months removed, I think, since we held that. So, congratulations again, Hits, and as we turn to the wall of Asp, I do want to give a shout out to last month's awardee, Z-Talk, who, as always, is still above and beyond. A very wonderful member to have, and so thank you again as we recall your last month as the biggest ass. Look forward to Hits taking up the throne, and Z-Talk actually appears one more time in this PowerPoint, which he doesn't actually know. So if he's here, he'll have something to look forward to later on. And that went far too far. Okay. Sorry about that. Here we go. I put this in at every slide. This is your monthly reminder that you may not be getting everything you need to out of Discord. In particular, the text chat channels, you need to go and select the follow category button here. So you go at the very top, channels and roles, browse channels, and just follow every category that's available. That will ensure when new things go up that you will have them. Even if you do that, I recommend checking weekly, bi-weekly. You can do it daily if you want to. I think that'd be fantastic, but just ensure that all of the channels that are on the Discord that you will have access to with your roles, that you will be able to do that. Coulter, I can go back and double check as far as the class and role channels. For the onboarding, I don't think we can do it automatically. People can ask, if you simply ask any of the professors, they can add roles for you if you want to add in a couple more. I know that we have others who have alts who are making new characters and whatnot, so the one role in the one class may not be sufficient. But yeah, so you can request if you have a tank alt or DPS or one all three, or you have particular classes you're interested in, we can add those. I had this slide in last month. This is just a friendly reminder that we as a server really do use our server guide to provide you with all the information that you need to get through. So in particular here, there's the rules and ranks, which tell you how the leadership structure is kind of divided, who takes on what role, who's in charge of what areas. The flowchart is in that one, I believe, and then all of our kind of community standards and rules that are outlined in that. The raid rules and requirements are specific to those who want to raid, be that on one of our 5 teams or as a bench raider. All raid members, bench or otherwise, are required to follow the rules as they're set forth in that document. And then links, apps, and resources. Anything that I've ever shared out as a hyperlink or something that I've referred people back to are almost always invariably posted in that page and organized by topic. So you basically just need to hit the server guide button and explore that. There is also an FAQ page. The FAQ is, I think, 104 questions that I typed out very detailed responses to that cover almost every area of the guild that you might be interested in, from how the baby guilds work to history of the guild to where we see it going. All of that and more, much more, is outlined in the FAQ section. So simply going to that server guide and clicking through those pages would very likely answer 99.9% of your questions, and those that it doesn't, you're, like I said, more than welcome to reach out to anybody to get some information on. Some examples and a couple that I want to highlight. So the raid application, I believe somebody asked about how to apply for raiding. The way you would do that is go to server guide, go to the raid rules and requirements page. You would read through that page, and you would go and find the raid application link that's at the very bottom, and you would fill that out. That link is also in the links, apps, and resources page. Our YouTube, which have our events and monthly meetings and some other videos and guides, are linked there. TMB and 60 Upgrades is there, including a guide that I made on how to set up a wish list. The Master Raid roster actually was taken down for some work. Guild Ops has been doing a major project on that, so it was removed. That's not available currently. The crafting log is there, so if you're ever wondering who can make something, if something's craftable in the guild, you only have to pull up that Excel file. If you have professions and you want to allow guild members to utilize your professions services, then you simply just have to post that in the professions chat. We ask that you don't charge guild members for that service. We're trying to build a community of people that are ready, willing, and able to help. I know most guild members are ready, willing, and able to tip, but we just ask that people don't charge or have expectations of receiving money for that help. And then also to the other side of that transaction, for those who are looking to have things crafted, please do not feel entitled to other people's time and effort to help you craft things, and please be kind and courteous and appreciative of others who are going out of their way to see things crafted for you. And that's what makes both sides of this equation add up and makes the system work well. But that crafting catalog is up there and available. Our Blackwing layer as well as our ZG manuals are both published. The guild org chart is there, and then the biggest Ask nomination form, I do just want to highlight that. I think people forget that that's there. If you're running things, if people are going out of their way to help you, if you're feeling particularly friendly about a particular player on one day, please feel free to go in, fill out a nomination form. It just asks for their name, your name, and then some details on why you think that they should be the biggest ass. When we receive nominations, we read through them. We kind of pick a list of 3 finalists, and then the preceptors vote on our biggest ass recipient. And so that process only works if members in our community are nominating people who are participating. And we obviously have interactions with people. If you're active, chances are we know you, but we want to make sure people have an opportunity to get some of that information to us if they're having positive interactions in the community. So feel free to do that. I know a lot of people have found it, but just a reminder, we did just get the server tag in Discord, so you're more than welcome to add the server tag. Like I said, I see very many people who are rocking that now, which is awesome to see. I think you just simply go to the top where it says Adept Scholar Society, you can hit a drop down and then click the server tag, and it should add it to your emblem in Discord, which you can see most of our officers are rocking it now. I think most people in the chat have now added it, so thank you to those who have that and are willing to keep that up on their Discord. And thank you to those who have boosted our Discord server. I'm actually intending on. I didn't have enough time to supplement this today, but I am going to actually give everyone a shout out because I do recognize it's a lot for people to go in and spend their money. I know you all work hard in game and out for that, so I appreciate it when people are willing to make that kind of investment in the Discord server and to add boosts in. So it's very helpful to keep our rank 3 Discord server to have all of the added benefits, including the larger meeting hall, the better audio quality, and things like that. We're in a position now where we have 120 raiders running concurrently on a Tuesday night between teams 1, 4, and 5. And so it's a huge benefit to have that support. So thank you again to all those who have, and in July I will have that slide thanking you all individually by name for that level of support. So thank you. Requisitions before we head into the month in review, and then before we get into the to the next part of it. The boosting is through Discord Nitro, I believe. I think it's $6 per boost for 12 for 2. I could be wrong about that, but I believe it's that, and it's you can get that through Nitro. So on the requisitions, a couple of things I just want to note. These have been going off particularly well. I just have a few notes that I want to make for people who have been dealing with requisitions, who might have run into a problem with the requisitions, or who have no idea that you can even requisition things in the guild. In particular, so the way the system works is that the link for requisitions are in the links, apps, and resources portion of the Discord, and you can, if you need something to help you get ready to raid, if you're a raider and looking for enchants, anything like that, you use our Guild Bank add-on that's listed in the guild information server guide. The link to that add-on is there. So we have a Guild Bank add-on that'll show you everything that we have available in our Guild Bank. You go into the requisition form and you fill out the requisition form with the things that you're looking for, and then it gets added to a sheet. Since its inception, we've handled over 200 requisitions from all of our raiders, and so we've been incredibly grateful to have people participating to make these requests, and then also been really fulfilling to see the number of things going out to support our raid teams. We had, I think, close to 60 blood vines going out in the first 2 weeks of ZG onto our casters. We have continued to supply blood vine to casters who have come up and joined new teams to help people get raid ready. Our healers, almost invariably up and down the board now, are set with Corehound belts, which will see them through this next phase. And then our tanks, we've had some tank flux, and so every single tank is set with full FR gear, and we're actually beginning the project now to see all of our off-tank 2s in full FR. It's obviously going to be a big help as we get into AQ stuff, which we'll touch on later in terms of nature resistance. And then obviously your dues go not just to the guild bank generally, but for use for a variety of projects, but also fund the consumables that we send to the raid teams. Which include Flask of the Titans, Greater Fire Protection Potions, and Free Action Potions that get sent weekly, as well as a repair bot now. That prices for consumables have been dipping. So the couple of the big barriers to not getting requisitions approved that I'm just want to hit on, just to be mindful when you're filling this out. First one is if we have insufficient mats. In some cases, if we have some but not enough to fulfill any particular requisition, I may just grab a couple extra to allow for it, depending on what it is. I do not always guarantee that, and as a rule, if we don't have the mats, we won't fulfill the requisition. Another thing is if it's not raiding related or not a priority for raid, we try and be kind of fair in the things that we set our priorities on. And so, for instance, if you got if you had requested a Hide of the Wild, we would have probably denied that requisition. But if you had requested a Corehound belt, we would have accepted it, just because of the cost to craft, the amount of time that it stays good, the ability to receive a substantially similar upgrade, and things like that. So we do have to make kind of judgment decisions, because when we're talking about opening up a piece of gear like that, we're generally talking across 5 raid teams, about 50 people who would be accessible to that requisition. So just bear that in mind. I think some people are perhaps forgetful because they spend a lot of time with the same 40 people, or even perhaps less than that they see large numbers in our guild bank and forget that those large numbers are very easy to consume when we start talking about 5 raid teams and the number of people that we're accommodating, as well as our bench players who can fill out requisitions for things as well. The next thing is if it's an insufficient description. So if you don't tell me what you're trying to get, if you just list a bunch of materials that you want but give me no information on where those materials are heading, my assumption is that they're heading for the auction house. I know that that's very likely not the case, but dissuade me of that presumption by putting in details of what you're intending on making or why you want the things. And then incorrect material lists. So if you tell me you're going to craft something and you put in the wrong number of items that you need to craft that thing, which I do check all crafting material lists when you put in and say I want to have X thing crafted. So please keep that in mind, and be cognizant that you need to have the accurate list when you do the requisitions. And then the last thing is, don't requisition gold. The answer is always going to be no if you requisition gold. We are, for instance, planning on having to expend, I think, like 25% of the guild bank for AQ prep coming up, and so we amass what we can by liquidating some of the non-fundamental items that aren't needed to sit there. We'll liquidate that, but bank management for me, because it's all having to be done on my alts, is basically what consumes probably 40% of my playing time any given week. So again, we will not send gold. We will send materials for things like that. The other thing is, please pay attention to the timestamps when you're filling this out. So typically it takes about 72 hours to respond to to respond to a requisition at most. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's less. Once you receive a confirmation message, this will be received from CastJet oftentimes. It'll tell you, please allow 24 hours. Please actually allow 24 hours. I will very often be like down to like the hour mark when things get sent. So please check your timestamps before you reach out to me about your requisitions. And then even still, I try and kind of process things in batches to limit the amount of times I'm spending on any given area or issue. So that may run a little bit behind, but after 24 hours from receiving that message from Guild Ops, you're more than welcome to check in with me and see where your item is in the process. Again, all of this has to be done manually, so we appreciate your patience as there's a lot going on, and so sometimes depending on what is going on any given day, I may not be able to process requisitions right then and there. So we'll get into the month in review. This section is shorter. We've been hard at work raiding. Been a little quieter May as people kind of adjusting into the summer months. I think a couple of people have been out touching grass, which was nice to see, and people sharing pictures of that those last few weeks. So we kind of took a little bit of a step back from our outward facing things. We've been deep into BWL. We're hitting the dog days of BWL and ZG now, and so the announcements haven't been flooding in as much as they had been in the past. But I expect that to be changing. I'll give people a second to pop back in. I have no idea why that just ended.
AFK check.
Yeah, that's exactly it. AFK check.
Minor technical difficulties.
All right. Well, I'm sure people will figure it out as everybody stopped talking immediately and then came back.
I think we had over 130 viewing at the time, so most everyone looks like is back.
Yeah. And the rest were AFK and didn't realize it, so I'm sure that'll be all right. So we'll keep going here. So the month in review, first and foremost, we've got guild player development is in full swing now, and has been hard at work. They did the Assets Unknown mystery auction last Saturday. I wasn't able to be there, but I've heard excellent things. Really creative event that was put on, and I know the people who showed up enjoyed themselves. I know that they're looking to kind of expand and get creative with the kinds of events that are going on. The next event is scheduled right now for July 5th, which is the 60 dueling tournament. We'll have more information on that available, so please feel free to keep an eye out for that. I know it's a holiday weekend, but if you're able to pop in that night, it'd be great to have you there. And again, that's open to any level 60 in the guild who wants to participate. We'll kind of go over ground rules, prizes, where to go, things like that. So just stay tuned for that for more information from player development that'll go out in the announcements channel. But that just to give you kind of a heads up on July 5th. And I know that date is blessed now, having read that that's Z-Talk's birthday. So hopefully we can see him there for the duel, and we'll have a cake for you, Z. Next big thing this month was we had our merch drop, which I got to tell you is a bit surreal to see people out in the world with the ass logo. I did promise Z-Talk would show up again with his 5 feet of curved monitors that put us all to shame. With his Raid Team 2 hat and his Mystic Scholar Society shirt. A couple other people popped up there who have shared their purchases, purchases that they've gotten, magnets to their fridge, sweaters, T-shirts, and all the rest of that. So, there's a couple of different designs up there, from TBC things to come. Represent your raid team. For those of you who came up from the Baby Guild, you can get a From Adorable to Adept, Welcome to the Big League shirt. The wide variety of stuff there. For those of you who are big fans of CastJet, he has a requisition approved Guild Ops stamp. So a lot of fun things. One things that's kind of come up is, well, I buy this, what is that doing for the guild? Right now I'm working to kind of defray some of the costs of some of the guild management tools that we've gotten, and then the rest is kind of just to supplement the time that we've put into this. The other big thing I want to mention, just to put on your radar, is if you've taken a look at the announcements channel, I pinged this. I don't have a slide for this, but I did ping this a couple of weeks ago, that we are hoping to have a Adept Scholar Society convention in person in November. I have a very large test that some of you are aware of coming up at the end of July. And so I'm not getting into the planning for that until then. This is just kind of a save the date, but please do not make any non-refundable travel purchases in the meantime. But that'll all kind of come out in August. But for those who are interested in participating in that real-life meetup of members, we are looking to have that sometime. I think it's November 15th is the exact date. That Saturday. So we're hoping that we can have people join us there. And now we're getting into some of the more substantive raid-related things. And one of the things I want to do, where I'd mentioned we've had such an influx of members, is kind of just cover a little bit of the raiding basics, how you get started raiding, and stuff like that. So first off, we have 5 raid teams. And we hope, so every raid team actually beginning this upcoming week is going to have the same raid start time. Raid Team 3 was starting at 9:30 p.m. EST. They're now going to start at 9 p.m. EST, which brings them in line with raid teams 1 to 5. So all of our teams start at 9 p.m. EST. They run till midnight. Most of the time, that's a hard stop or finish preceding to that. So it's not ever been a particular issue. I know people like I have some early nights, so we do try to be respectful of the time required in order to accommodate those later nights for those of us on the East Coast. But it also allows those on Pacific to be able to run with us. So the other half of this is that if you're not on one of these raid teams, there are 2 ways to participate in the raiding system. The first part of this is that you can be a bench raider. So if you're not able to commit to these days or times, week to week or day to day, you can sign up for a bench raiding position by filling out a raid application. And if you are unable to, or if you are able to commit to one of these teams, there may not be a spot open right now. What we would have you do is fill out a raid application. You would be put on bench in the meantime, so you can start raiding and begin to run. And then once that happens, and once we find a spot that can accommodate you, we will add you to the raid team, and that's all done with guild operations. So those are communications you'd get from CashJet and Bear Dung, who manage that side of the system. So the biggest thing is, don't wait. If you're interested in raiding, simply fill out a raid application. Go into the server guide if you're in Adept Scholar Society. So if you've already gotten to level 50 and you want to get on a raid team, go to the raid application, fill it out. Once you hit 50, once you transfer to the big guild, don't wait until you're 60. Don't wait until you're pre-raid best. Don't wait until you have your attunements. It is not worth it for you to wait and see a spot pass you by when we are willing to get you on a team and help work up to getting you raiding. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the things I just mentioned in another slide or two. We have very few requirements. If by the way, if you have a main that's a raider and you want to have an alt that's bench raiding, you definitely need to fill out a raid application for your alt so that we know to assign the bench raider position to you for your alt, so you'll get the pings. If you don't have that, you're more than welcome to simply look at the bench sign up channel. Everyone should have access to the bench sign up channel for when raid leaders post that they need fills. But if you want to get actual notifications about the pings when raid leaders go into bench sign up and do the @bench raiders, you'll need to get the role. So we have very few requirements in the guild. The raid add-ons, these are all must-haves. This document was taken a screenshot from an earlier document. It's not 100%. There's one missing here that's noted below. So there's GTFO, Deadly Boss Mods, Threat Classic 2, or a Reasonable Alternative, RC Loot Council, and Gargle as well are all the 5 required add-ons for the guild. So these 5, including Gargle down here, are the required add-ons for raiding. Note, you will not be eligible for loot distribution without RC Loot Council. We can't accommodate it. If you're in one of our raids, we all use Loot Council for our loot distribution. If you don't have that add-on, we cannot get loot to you. Last month I touched on attendance, but just kind of general highlighting. If it's if you're able to call out, that's all we need you to do. If it's 24 hours plus notice, there's no penalty. If it's less than 24 hours notice, we're a little loose on this enforcement because people have been really good about callouts. If you're communicative, you're generally not going to run into problems. But we do reserve the right if people are being if people are being abusive of our willingness to allow folks to take time off as it's needed to accommodate whatever's happening in life or things that they'd rather be doing, then we would absolutely reserve the right to be able to kind of look at some of these penalty options, which again I don't think in the history of the guild we've enforced because people are generally really good about it. And then again, there's no group swapping, so some people ask about that, about whether they can swap raid teams on their main or main swapping. We don't allow for that. When you sign up for a raid on that raid team, then that's the team that you're on. If there are things in real life that pop up that make it difficult or impossible for you to participate on that in that team any longer, you can bring that up to raid leadership. We can try and accommodate, but there is really not any way for us to accommodate those things on this scale. So just keep that in mind. I think we've had in the history of the guild 2 raid swaps. Grouchy, they're not all the same days and times. We run 7 days a week across 5 raid teams, so you can check out the server guide for the actual days and times. Performance gear and buffs I do want to mention, because this is up there. We have right now our only requirements are that you have Onyxia buff and food buff for raid. With the new set of content coming out, we anticipate things being a little harder, and there may be a need for us to update this. That's something that leadership's talking about currently. So be forewarned that it may be that we're looking at ZG or DMT buffs going forward. We don't want to be we don't want to be put in a position where we have to be reactive versus proactive, but we also don't want to be proactive and go a little bit further than is needed. So keep that in mind as we're going along here. That we might have some changes to this. As far as gearing, and I had mentioned earlier about don't wait until you're pre-raid BIS. We really do mean it. A lot of the raid teams right now are disenchanting a lot of gear, and if you're going to be willing to sign up, if you're going to be willing to sign up and participate on a raid team, we're willing to allow you to come in ahead of being pre-raid BIS. The caveat to that is that just because you're in raid and you're eligible for gear and you're on a roster does not dissolve your requirements to put effort into your gearing and to achieve those pre-raid BIS items in time. So a note to raid members generally, if you see a new member whose gear is substandard, it is not your place to comment on that. I'm going to just highlight that right here, right now. It is your place, though, to suggest to that person that you might be willing to help them to go through content and to offer opportunities to help them get gear. That's very much appreciated. And for those players who are newer and starting on raid teams who do not have the best gear, again, start raiding with us, but please keep in mind that it is not the 39 other people's jobs to carry you, and so it is very much recommended that you continue to put in effort to getting your gear, to doing those pre-raid BIS grinds until you've gotten through that. And I will tell you that our loot councils do look at that, and it does weigh heavily into our loot council distribution. Loot council is run on 4 factors. Are any of my officers in here able to recite them off? Because I always tell people that everyone can do them with their eyes closed.
Ooh,
Anybody got them memorized? Who's that? Who's got them?
McGruff, I got it.
McGruff, hit it.
Number 1, where does the gear do the most good? Number 2, who gives cause for concern? Number 3, the biggest upgrade. And number 4, activity in the guild outside of raid team.
That's 100% correct. Absolutely correct. So those are not dispositive factors. They are weighted from top priority down to the lowest, and so those are what. Those are all what our loot councils on all 5 teams are looking at when they're making their determinations on where gear should go. One thing to note, because it's come up a couple of times, if you're bench raiding, you're doing that as a helpful thing to your fellow guild members. And I will say that if there's a giant item that raid teams have been waiting for, or an item that's a big upgrade to one of their members, very often they will send that to that member to try and get people geared up. What I will also tell you is that they keep in mind the people who are running with them regularly, and after a couple of times in with them, they're going to toss you some big ticket items. We have members who have only been traded, who have almost full BIS sets because they're there, they're active, and they participate in raid teams regularly. So please keep in mind that if you're a bench player, you will have your day in the sun. That being there, being dedicated to helping teams is the fastest way to do that. But we also all recognize that the 6 hours a week for 24 weeks now for Raid Team 1, for 22 weeks for Raid Team 2, and I'll have to apologize that I don't have the week counts down for the other 3 teams off the top of my head. I haven't checked their dues tracker so recently. But for as long as we've been running, these people have been trying to hunt down particular gear sets, and so you are always eligible for loot as a bench raider, but just keep that in mind as the distribution, especially now in later phases, starting to tighten up before we head into AQ, and there are big ticket items that people are still searching for. And again, some of these kind of gear and policies, including enchants, may be looking a little different. Maybe looking a little bit different for the AQ phase. So I will put out an announcement. And that brings us to the AQ drop and kind of a look ahead of what you guys are going to be getting from the guild as we're looking forward to this new content. So obviously Blizzard announced in a blue post that AQ drops on the 10th, and so for us, a few things coming up that you should be aware of. All of this should be going out in an AQ announcement, a text announcement. There are still a few things up in the air that we're working on behind the scenes, and so you are very likely going to see a post from me sometime by Sunday night or early next week at the absolute latest. We're going to try and get all of this out as soon as we can. So please keep in mind that more to come on some of this, but what we do have I want to share with everybody here, at least so that you're aware of what to keep an eye out for. First and foremost, we have some AQ related meetings coming up as we do prep for all of our raid teams. We've done this with every phase release so far to get everybody on the same page with what's coming up. In particular, we have tomorrow, in fact, the Twin Emps tanking workshop that McMumbo is going to lead for our Warlock tanks. So if you've been designated a Warlock tank for one of your raid teams, it's a very good idea that you participate in this event. If you haven't done that, then what I'd recommend is, or if you haven't signed up for that, or if you are a Warlock and you haven't been designated as a Warlock tank, that you're welcome to go to this to get the information. If you do 1 week maybe need to fill in, it'll give you a head start, save some time from people having to explain things. And then all of our tanks are going to be at this June 25th meeting that's been posted. Both are pinged to the channel, and this is required for all raid team 1 through 5's main tanks, off tank 1 and off tank 2 positions. Again, anybody else interested who sometimes is asked to tank or fill in is welcome, encouraged to go, but those are the 15 people who are going to be there that we're asking to be there to make that time. And obviously that is a Wednesday at 10, and so for raid teams 1 and 5 on that Wednesday, we will make sure that our tanks, Minari and I have already made arrangements to ensure that our tanks are out and ready to run for that meeting, so that you'll be there for 10 p.m. Eastern time. So those events are both in the Discord events channel, so you can see, well, not the channel, but the tab at the very top, you can see the Discord events. Both of those are there, and so we ask people who are related to those 2 tasks to participate, or if you're interested to attend regardless. The next section is we're obviously putting together our typical phase manual. I think our AQ 40 guide is about 31 pages at present. Everyone's done a fantastic job. Shout out to Herc, Mumbo, who have gone through that. I know Ace and Cherry and others have also gone through and taken a look at this. Minari, we're going to have this out. Yeah, we did switch to night mode for this manual, and we will also have an AQ20 version of this. So these manuals will be really in depth. We focused on also making them as a narrative guide, so that basically every step you take in a raid, you can simply turn a page to get to the next content. And so it basically walks you through. The dungeon. Obviously, Bolthar's helped with the tanking side of things as well, and so that's all in there. So this is kind of your step by step. It's not a replacement for watching videos for understanding the fights, but it's a supplement that when you're in there you can refer to, and that as you're becoming familiar you can refer to. And again, one is in the work for the 20, and so when we do the big AQ announcement, these will be released. Couple things coming up on this. What we're going to be doing with the war effort remains to be seen. We're going to still talk about that a little bit with the officer corps. So I don't really have any answers to questions on that. Scarab Lord title. I know there were a few people who were interested in maybe pursuing that. It is a big time commitment. If you are interested, just let me know. We're going to try and figure out how many people we can feasibly work towards getting that, and adjustments to kind of who's in what raid to allow that 1 week to the 10-hour window. The other thing that we're working on is nature resist sets for our melee, and so one thing that'll be coming up that all melee need to keep an eye out is a Google form. Again, it should be coming out with that announcement. The Google form will basically show you the items that we're willing to provide to you for crafting for nature resist. So you'll go in, you'll enter your character name, you'll select your class. So this is obviously Feral Druid, Rogue, Warrior DPS, and Warrior Tank. So say you're a Rogue, you're going to put your name in, select Rogue, and it'll open up a page that'll show you all the gear that a Rogue is eligible to receive, show you the tooltips for the items for the nature resist, and then a checkbox that you can click all that apply. You'll click all the items that you want to requisition. It'll send you another page that basically says, hey, these are the things you can get, but there are more items that you'll need to get, and here's a link to a guide on how to get them to hit X number of nature resistance that's necessary for AQ40. And so that's our plan as we go forward to get these sets kind of set up, but so keep that in mind that those things will come out with the announcement. We're almost at the end here, and I know I think Z-Talk called me out for being long-winded, which I know you're all used to. But we are talking about kind of the schedule going forward into AQ. And so this is probably what it'll look like once we're through AQ progression. That the raid teams themselves will be running AQ40 night 1, and then Oni BWL MC night 2. The guild itself will utilize officers who are not raiding with their raid teams on given nights to help facilitate the off-night groups that we had been doing all through May for ZG, and that we've been doing on a kind of smaller scale now into June. So the ZGs will remain the same, where we will be doing. They share a same 3-day reset for ZG and AQ20, and so what we're going to plan on doing is have the reset day be the night we do ZG. So whenever the reset occurs, that night's the ZG night. The following 2 nights are AQ20. And so this will allow everybody to hopefully be able to participate in those raids, to allow us to keep on farm content that's providing relevant gear that's best in slot for our raiders across multiple phases, going back and doing that legacy content, and then still having time to push progression on the new content. So this is right now what we're anticipating. It'll be subject to kind of reset changes, any kind of funny business with what's going on, but this is very likely what the look ahead for 5 raid teams will be: the AQ40 night 1, Oni BWL MC night 2, and then ZG AQ20 resets by sign up in the sign up channel. I know that was a lot, and we do have a couple of raid teams kicking off, so I've got about 8 minutes that I can fairly allot before I'll have to get invites out for raid team 1. So with all of that being bared in mind, does anybody have any questions before we adjourn the June meeting? I know I've tried to answer a few during the course of this, so that's no problem. But if anybody else has any other questions that they'd like, feel free to send a message.
I have a question in regards to the AQ nature resistance. Should we fill out that form before the patterns are available so we get an idea of what we need to make?
Yeah, when we send out the nature resistance form, 100% you should fill it out immediately. Oh yeah, Kiki mentioned ATS. Yeah, that's one other thing we're talking about, leadership. So that'll come out when we talk about war effort and Scarab Lord. We'll mention that. Senta just swapped you to novice from your old aspiring tag, so you are set now. Is anybody else? You can feel free to either request to speak or to type something out. Yamora, no, the start times are 9 o'clock. The invites go at 8:45. The clock starts at 9. The expectation is that you're there to raid from 9 to midnight. After midnight, if you have to go, you're allowed to go. That's been the case for every single raid team from the beginning of time. Though some people are willing to stay longer to conquer other content. Just about every single raid team is able to accomplish that content in one night in sub 3 hours. In particular, I'll say right now, Raid Team 1 does BWL and MC comes in around like 11:15 with loot and everything else, and Anixia would not slow us down much from there. Most other teams are going to be very, Raid Team 4 is there on time with us. I know they wouldn't have any problem with doing that. Raid Team 5 is new, but coming along very quickly. Their times are starting to come down. And so I'm anticipate that all teams will be able to complete that task by the time AQ comes with the last bit of gearing that needs to be done. But yeah, the expectation is that you're there from 9 till midnight to accommodate that, and after the fact, if you have to go, you have to go. Alexandros, I mentioned about raiding weekend morning or early afternoon. As far as official guild sponsored raiding, we're a little ways out on that. With Sap, did you request to speak in the thing? I can pull you up while I'm answering this. Unless you want to just type out your question, you're welcome to do that as well. But we probably could accommodate that, especially as more content comes out and we kind of take things off a farm for the regular raid teams. And so just bear that in mind. That maybe something down the line, but right now it's tough to accommodate. We are trying to keep things kind of consistent across the board. Desire mentioned about the raid team, about benching for specific raid teams. You sign up for bench raiding day to day, so there's no need to you can certainly indicate your schedule. That excuse me, sorry, you can indicate your schedule when you fill out your raid application. In fact, one of the first questions that asks you to indicate your schedule. But there's no need to request for certain raid teams for sign up, because you'll see the post from the raid leader saying, on, for instance, Friday, you'll get a post from Mumbo that says, at bench raiders, we're looking for X, Y, and Z for tonight. If you're available, send me a DM. And every single raid leader or assistant raid leader will put that out day to day to fill their spots. So just keep an eye out for that. Once you do fill out your application, you can kind of control that. And then updated team rosters. Yeah, so the master roster right now is meant to be locked. Well, Guild Ops is in the middle of their Discord operations, and trying to work on that sheet. Sap, did you figure out the request speak function? No, I don't think so. I don't have you.
Here, I can just invite him to speak.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, now we can. What's going on?
Sorry, completely don't know how to do that, and I'm trying,
You're
but it
good.
says request to speak and it's disabled. Anyways, my question or comment would be, if we're trying to push 3 raids in one, and it seems like at RT1's pace, we can probably do it. But is there a way to kind of tighten up, let's say, the start time? Kind of dial it back a bit where people should be on by X amount of time, be there by X amount of time, and we pull by X amount of time, because that may help the other raid teams that aren't quite as fast clearing, just kind of be a little bit more firm on that start time to prep. Do you think that'd be something that's reasonable or feasible to kind of start implementing, and to ensure that we do have a solid and efficient night?
Yeah, and we already actually have those policies in place, so it's not a bad point to reminder. So invites go out at 8:45. You're expected to be online and at the raid, not requiring a summon between 8:45 and 9 p.m. You're expected to be at the raid no later than 9 p.m. If you're not at the raid no later by 9 p.m., you're expected to have sent a message to your raid leader or an assistant raid leader letting them know of where you're at. If you haven't contacted us and you're not there by 9, we will give you 5 minutes from 9 to 9:05 in order to contact somebody and say, hey, I'm coming, or no, I'm not coming, before you'll be marked as out for the night, and then your spot will go to a bench raider. After that, it's on the raid leadership to fill the spot, to get the bench, and then to get the show on the road. But those are the kind of the timelines, the benchmarks that we are trying to hit for raids. Obviously, there's nights where raids are going to go slower. If there's a lot of callouts, people just need to have understanding that the raid leadership is a lot to take on. There's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of requirements. So if if your team kicks off a little later, have some patience and understand that your raid leadership's not just sitting there and screwing around. They're trying their best to see people get on the team and to fill out 40 roster spots. But yeah, so definitely in terms of the policy, that's all stuff there. Kiki, I want to mention. I saw you mentioned about Phase 5 loot update, and I do want to mention this will be included in the announcement. But people you're welcome to start now to go into 60 upgrades to create Abyss list for Phase 5. We recommend we recommend that people use the note function for as many items as they can to give us as much instructive information. Remember, if you've already received the item in raid, if you've already gotten one of your best in slot items from the raid and it's already equipped, simply remove the item from your wish list when you import it to That's My Biss. But I'll also include a latest date to have that in by, the deadline for submitting your wish list, as well as the link to the video guide of how to create a wish list. And so just bear that in mind when we're going in here for Phase 5, that there will be another requirement for a wish list. And those who, for some reason, every phase make us chase you down for a wish list, it'll very likely be that you will find yourself disqualified from receiving loot until you've gotten that wish list in very early compared to previous phases, because I'm not going to let my officers continue to waste time chasing people down for what is essentially a 6 or 7 minute task to put together a wish list, or better yet, to have a website basically put it together for you. So just bear that in mind. Don't put it off. Don't wait until it's locked. We're not going to do the same thing as we did in BWL, where people had to that basically it's a very simple task. Don't make us do extra work to hunt you down or to have to unlock lists and update your stuff after the fact. But I'm going to have to stop it there on time because Raid Team 1's going to look for my character to be online, which is not even yet. I'm going to adjourn the meeting here. I want to thank everybody. It's another month in that it has been as much of a pleasure as it always is to be leading this, to be working with all of you. And so I want to thank everybody for that, and for being here and for getting the information. Follow up with people if you have questions. Send messages to the people who I've outlined that can help you. And in the meantime, I expect we will continue on a very successful path through this content and upcoming content. The next guild meeting is July 16th, third Wednesday of July, and we will see you in game, or we will see you in Discord. So thank you again to everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
Good night.